Good morning, children. Today we are going to start a new chapter, that is the tsunami. So, have you heard of tsunamis? One of the uncontrollably devastating natural disaster of the world. A tsunami is a long, high sea wave caused by an earthquake or other disturbance. The 2004 Indian Ocean earthquake and tsunami affected Thailand and parts of India such as the Andaman and Nicobar Islands and the Tamil Nadu coast. The earthquake was the third largest ever recorded. The legend shares a few accounts of people who used their wits and fortunately survived it courageously. Now, before starting the chapter, just have a look at this video. A tsunami is a series of waves generated in oceans or other body of water due to earthquakes. As an earthquake happens, the ground beneath the water is moved up and down abruptly and marks the start of a tsunami. The water starts to move as waves and the wave starts moving towards the shore. First of all, water gets shallower and proceeds back. As a result, the height of the tsunami starts to increase. They carry on huge masses of water. When they get closer to the shoreline, the volume of the tsunami remains constant. But because the water gets shallower, the height starts to increase. Tsunami stopped once it hit the land. Tsunami will continue to travel inland until all the energy is gone. In rare cases, tsunami can also be caused by landslide and volcanic eruption, but in all cases the consequences is the same. In 2004, an earthquake with the epicenter of the west coast of Sumatra in Indonesia struck with a magnitude of 9.1 to 9.3. The Indian plate was subducted by the Burma plate and triggered a series of devastating tsunamis, some of 30-meter high. The tsunami killed over 230,000 people in 14 countries, being one of the biggest natural disaster in human history. It is just one of the many tragic examples highlighting the force of tsunami. Sanjeev, a policeman, 13-year-old Meghna, 10-year-old Almaz Javed, and 10-year-old Tilly Smith are one of the people who survived 2004 tsunami in the bravest manner possible, and their stories of survival have become the examples of failure recounted in this chapter. So students, this is the chapter The Tsunami on page number 24. On this page, you can see a map of Andaman and Nicobar Island given on the left hand side of the page, and on the right hand side of the page there is a certain exercise. We will do the exercise at the end of the chapter. In the next page, you can see the picture of tsunami struck land, and you can see the mound of water that is flowed in the land, carrying the car and all the other objects flowing with it. And you can well imagine what must have happened to humans at this point of time. So, let's start reading the chapter. A tsunami is a very large and powerful wave caused by earthquakes under the sea. On 26 December 2004, a tsunami hit Thailand and parts of India such as Andaman and Nicobar Islands and the Tamil Nadu coast. Here are some stories of courage and survival. Did animals sense that a tsunami was coming? Some stories suggest that they did. We will read about it in the part 3 of this chapter. Now, let's start with part 1. These stories are all from the Andaman and Nicobar archipelago. Underline the word archipelago. It means a group of many islands and the surrounding sea. Ignatius was the manager of a cooperative society in Kutchal. Underline the words cooperative society and Kutchal. Kutchal is the name of place in Andaman and Nicobar, and cooperative society is an autonomous association of persons united voluntarily to meet their common economic, social, and cultural needs and aspirations through a jointly owned and democratically controlled enterprise. So, Ignatius was the manager of a cooperative society in Kutchal. His wife woke him up at 6 a.m. because she felt an earthquake. Ignatius carefully took his television set off its table and put it down on the ground so that it would not fall and break. Then the family rushed out of the house. When the tremors stopped, they saw the sea rising. Underline the word tremor. It means a slight shake. In the chaos and confusion, underline the word chaos. It means complete disorder or confusion. In the chaos and confusion, two of his children caught hold of the hands of their mother's father and mother's brother and rushed in the opposite direction. He never saw them again. His wife was also swept away. Only the 3 other children who came with him were saved. So, the first story is about Ignatius. His wife woke him up at 6 a.m., sensing an earthquake. Ignatius put the television on the ground to save it from the quake. Then all the members of the family rushed out. When the tremors stopped, they saw the sea rising. This caused them confusion. They ran but in opposite direction. His wife was swept away. Her 2 children, along with her father and brother, were also lost. Thus Ignatius lost his wife and two of his children and his relatives. The three other children who were with him were saved. Sanjeev was a policeman serving in Kachal Island of the Nicobar group of islands. He somehow managed to save himself, his wife, and his baby daughter from the waves. But then he heard cries for help from the wife of John, the guest house cook. Sanjeev jumped into the water to rescue her, but they were both swept away. So Sanjeev, who was a policeman, somehow managed to save himself, his wife, and his baby daughter. But as he heard the cries for help, he goes on to save John's wife. So he jumped into the water to save her, but both of them were swept away and drowned. 13-year-old Meghna was swept along with her parents and 77 other people. She spent 2 days floating in the sea, holding on to a wooden door. 11 times she saw relief helicopters overhead, but they did not see her. She was brought to the shore by a wave and was found walking on the seashore in a daze. Underline the word daze. It means in a state of half consciousness. So, Meghna was a girl of 13 years old, was swept away along with her parents and 77 other people. She held on to a wooden door and kept floating on it for 2 days. She was remained unnoticed by the rescuing helicopters or the relief helicopters for 11 times. But fortunately, she was brought to the shore by a wave and saved. Next, Almaz Javed was 10 years old. She was a student of Carmel Convent in Port Blair, where her father had a petrol pump. Her mother, Rahila's home was in Nankuri Island. The family had gone there to celebrate Christmas. When the tremors came early in the morning, the family was sleeping. Almas's father saw the sea water recede. He understood that the water would come rushing back with great force. He woke everyone up and tried to rush them to a safer place. As they ran, her grandfather was hit on the head by something and he fell down. Her father rushed to help him. Then came the first giant wave that swept both of them away. Alma's mother and aunts stood clinging to the leaves of a coconut tree, calling out to her. A wave uprooted the tree and they too were washed away. Alma saw a log of wood floating. She climbed onto it. Then she fainted. When she woke up, she was in a hospital in Kamota. From there, she was brought to Port Blair. The little girl does not want to talk about the incident with anyone. She is still traumatized. Traumatized means greatly shocked and distressed. So, Almas was a girl of 10 years, went there to celebrate Christmas with her family. On that particular day, the family was sleeping, but her father had woken up. He saw the water receding after the tremors. He knew it would come back with great force. He woke everyone trying to rush to a safer place. As they ran, his father fell down. Almas's father rushed to help him. Then came a big wave and swept them both away. Her mother and aunts were washed away too. They were swept away with the tree they were holding on to. Now Alma saw a log of wood floating. She climbed onto it. Then she fainted. She woke up in a hospital in Kamota. So, children, we can feel the tragedy of Almas. Now, if you have a look at the pic, you can see that what kind of destruction tsunami had done in this area. You can see a house which is completely devastated, and people are really looking for their loved ones to save them. So, children, in this part of the chapter, what we read is the story which happened in Andaman and Nicobar Island. Here we saw some people who bravely survived against the nature's calamity, against the unfortunate incident that happened with them. They are still traumatized. This is all that we read in this part. There is more in the next parts, which we will read later. For now, thank you. Have a nice day.